Welcome to Highly Regarded. My name is Ulric, and in this video, we're going to frame the standard of how I come to or disposition my highly regarded rankings. Now, if you came from the theorems video, I know you're at least slightly interested in coming to a rational way to compare players without the biases of expert favorites and the limitations of what you can only personally see. Congrats on leveling up your hoops mentality. So to unlearn what's been taught to us and how to assess or judge sports is akin to deboning a live mammal. To say the least, it's not well received by the subject. And some people view sports and their favorite teams as a critical part of their emotional existence. When a team wins or loses, a significant part of them experiences the same internally. When a player wins a championship, it's like a brother or a son reaching a milestone to some fans. I don't want to take that feeling of association away, but clarity on what a favorite team is doing on the floor can give someone either more hope for success or more understanding of the shortcoming. So good news here, if you like the fanatic side of your personality, you don't have to give it up learning about this method to rightly assess and rank players across time and positions. Moving past judgments based on team championships, individual awards, off-the-court activities, and an arbitrary preference of style or personality, we can take a step towards what we universally have given at least some weight: statistics. An individual stat can provide a keyhole view into the quantitative value of a player. Now, looking at stats by itself could be misleading as well. For instance, 20 points per game looks great, but not next to a field goal percentage of 32%. So instead, we take into account many stats. After all, we do many things in basketball, and one statistic shouldn't make us ignore another. So a combination of statistical factors is the best way to judge the value of players. The amazing thing about statistics is we can leverage the constructive work done by people in the past. Some of the best work in this field was accomplished by Bill James, a baseball writer and statistician who created the sabermetric approach for the analysis of game outcomes. One of these metrics was the personal statistic of win shares, which is formulated to assess the impact of player performance in a combination of several areas, including offensive, defensive, and pitching, to the overall performance of their team. Now, Justin Kubatko, the creator of basketballreference.com, leveraged James's framework to establish a basketball derivative. There are many details to this formula and can be found at the website, which will be in the show notes. He gives significant credit to Dean Oliver, who's the author of the book Basketball on Paper. The basketball win share is composed of offensive win shares and defensive win shares. The offensive win share consists of the following inputs and variables: player points produced, which is not the same as total points; player offensive possessions, league points per possession, team pace, league pace, marginal offense, and marginal points over team wins. The defensive win share consists of the following inputs and variables: defensive rating, marginal defense, marginal points over team wins. The addition of offensive win shares and defensive win shares equates to the win share value. Now, some stats just weren't available in old times. Defensive rebounds, offensive rebounds, steals, blocks, they weren't tracked before 1973, and turnovers weren't tracked before 1977. Now, they have a modified formula to simulate player effectiveness during those eras. But due to such shortcomings, it's impossible to label this process absolutely objective despite using concrete data. But it does get us very, very close. Now, hold on a minute. Time out. Quick time out. How we doing? You guys still with me? We're trying to get through the hard parts so we're on the same page with the fun stuff. So let's remember a couple things before we continue. An objective measure must still require a subjective choice, and a conscious decision to believe in this standard is still required for it to have any relevancy. This is no different than people moving and stopping on red and green, or practicing your First Amendment rights in America. These are principles that are believed or known to be of net benefit to the individual and society if they exist. Therefore, these ideas are as real as you and me. Now, something else really important, what draws me to this base metric, the win share, is that it generally confirms what subjective taste would indicate. The accomplishments of players like Kareem, Jordan, LeBron James, Magic, Wilt Chamberlain, they're confirmed by this metric system as generally the best in ways that your average fan of those times would agree with without access to any statistical data. The empirical result is, for the most part, validating the emotional and rational opinions, or as some call it, the eye test. But all this led me to investigate more. There's something missing in all of this. It goes without saying, there's a wide range of characteristics that could make a player stand out. You can be a tremendous free throw shooting big man, or a guard that has an abnormally high rebounding pace, or a great two-way wing. These things separate the exceptional player from the common. And as much as this is true, so can an athlete's exceptional career stand out in different ways. I want to discuss with you these different ways to judge a career. So look, the average NBA career is 4.5 years. There's only so many jobs, and new hungry prospects every year are willing to do anything to make a regular season roster spot. To last a decade or more is a testament to skill and savvy that's light years beyond what young legs can give. So whether you're a Hall of Famer like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or a role player like Kevin Willis, the numbers you put up every game played can't be taken for granted. There's countless ball players, myself included, that wish we could have played competitively until the wheels fall off. Records accomplished by this career greatness tend to be the most celebrated for a reason. Very few ever get a chance to pursue them. Now, there's another type of greatness that's akin to what we call theory crafting. People often speak about these players as if something's missing from their resume, which is true. Time in office, years experience, availability are pretty much synonymous for the not enough games played to be considered great. But are they not? This class of greatness ignores the length of work and focuses on the quality of work. Like, what if history were stretched a bit? What if Len Bias played a few Jordan-esque years before succumbing to a drug overdose? What if Hank Gathers were to have played a couple years of dominant power forward play before being taken by a heart condition? Not understanding? Okay. What if Bernard King, Bill Walton, Joel Embiid weren't always injured? This greatness can and should be recognized apart from longevity. If you can prove dominance or dominant greatness, it does not matter how long you play, as long as while you play, you're unstoppable. Now, we all know that barbershop talk where that guy will recall back to that one year when that one player did everything, right? And, for a standardized segment of time in history, say one season, a player could create memories with his success on the court that will be remembered forever. And to a local fan, that may be a reality with that one player for a season or two. But remember the arguments from Theorem 5 in the Foundations video. Check that out. With our limited individual knowledge, we don't have full cognizance of how brilliant other players were in other places and times. So the question is twofold. First, what is the standard for one of those remarkable seasons? And second, how many of those seasons have a specific player achieved? Like 87 Jordan, 63 Wilt, 2019 Giannis, and of course, many other players epitomize what we can call historic greatness and should be recognized for it. Again, referencing Theorem 5, we must recognize the gravity of both regular season and playoffs, but we must not separate the NBA Finals from the rest of the playoffs. This is a grave error, for it actually insulates a small set of players from a much larger set of comparison that has more to do with the right place, right time than individual achievement. Like, for instance, how legit is it that we wouldn't compare Dan Issel to Shawn Kemp simply because Dan never made it to the final series? It's ridiculous to fence the table debate so small that the free and open competition of players and comparison of players isn't allowed to take place. A more natural separator is the entire playoffs in general. For if someone only played 6 playoff games in their entire career, it's easy to see their impact on the NBA was limited. But if someone played 100 playoff games, then it shouldn't matter what round those games were played in, because they were always, quote unquote, in the fight. With that all said, the categories for greatness can be split further: regular season career, regular season dominant, playoff career, playoff dominant, and number of historic seasons. Like I said before, we can leverage the constructive work done by people in the past. The magic was done for us in the development of the win share formula. all we do is add a layer to specify what the win shares mean for each category of greatness. For career greatness, simply take the rank order of career win shares regular season and the rank of career win shares in the playoffs and average them. If the player was second in win shares of the regular season and fifth in win shares in the playoffs, it would result in a career rank score of 3.5. The lower the rank, the more favorable for that player in that category. For dominance, we use the win shares over 48 minutes to normalize the win share stats over time. Taking 48 minutes as a time of an entire game, we balance the playing field to determine what contributions players made to their team with the time they were given. Similar to career greatness, take the rank order of career win shares over 48 regular season and the rank order of the career win shares over 48 playoffs and average them. The lower the rank, the more favorable for a player in that category. Now this one is different. For historic greatness, we try to determine which players captured the highest of highs most often. Taking an arbitrary basket of the greatest seasons ever produced, we will count the number of times an individual appears in that list. For this system, I felt that anyone that had win shares over 13.75 in one combined regular season and playoffs in the same year was within the range of historic greatness. This range is of course subjective. However, you'll find that the seasons included are truly unbelievably amazing. For some players, it will be their one career defining season, but others, almost every season they play is considered an all-time great, proving in this category as well why they're in the conversation as the greatest, most highly regarded players of all time. Remember, a season is memorable or historic not because of what a player did only in the playoffs or only in the regular season, but in total. So we'll find a single season where a player's win shares regular season plus win shares playoffs add up to 13.75 or more. Then we count the number of times each player comes up in that list. The historic greatness rank will be ordered by the number of times a player appears on that list. Every player worth considering in all-time greatness will have a score in all three categories. The scores are averaged up to determine an aggregate highly regarded score. The greatest players ever are ordered by lowest ranked score to higher. You now have the entire system for how we determine true greatness on highly regarded. In future videos, I will discuss the results, their significance, update players based on additional performances, and even talk about players left out that are liable to cause heartache to their fans.